In this video, I'm going to focus on another part of OpenStreetMap that could use some editing help. So I've found this area in advance. There isn't a lot of editing here, and what's special about it is I found it by searching IDP, comma, Myanmar, and we'll see a few options come up there. So IDP stands for internally displaced person, sort of a technical term for refugees who are relocated within their own country. And so each one of these areas, refugee camp or IDP camp, has been added by a group connected with the UN, and they have kind of their own tagging system. So you won't see it on the map when you're using the standard map layer, or I think not even with the humanitarian map layer, no. But people are adding these to the map and in a way highlighting several places around the world where you could be contributing to the map. So long story short, I clicked through to see one of the change sets which added one of these IDP camps. And here they have 1,000 points which were added in this entire region in one kind of import. And so I'll put a link to this in the YouTube video so you can find some different locations. But like I said, I'm going to focus on Myanmar because I've been doing some mapping there, and this one is kind of close to the border, so kind of on theme for what I've been editing recently. There's sort of an open question about, like I mentioned, right now it's not even showing up on the visual map, it's just in the underlying OpenStreetMap data. So one tag that they're using is, one tag that people are considering using is amenity equals refugee site. So there's a discussion here on the OpenStreetMap wiki of what information should be there, such as population and capacity and who's operating it. And then I think most recently there was a conversation about just one tag that says refugee equals yes. Just like a building, you'd put a building tag on it, and whatever kind of building it is, school or fire station or restaurant, you can say building equals yes, and it'll render as a building. Potentially you could mark any kind of refugee facility as refugee equals yes, and this recommends several other ones. It's hard to know which one is the right one to do. I imagine with the UN adding 1,000 points that it's interesting to or it's a good idea to sort of use similar tags to them, but it's definitely an open question. There isn't like a one-stop preset that everyone's using. So I zoomed in on that area, and here we see they've used place refugee camp. They've kind of invented their own tag. And here there's a lot of different tags from the import, but they were both added like this. And you can see they're referring to an actual community here. So what I would do first to start mapping this is probably just start drawing some of the residential roads and make sure to connect them to the existing OpenStreetMap road network. Click Escape to stop drawing, and you can choose residential road right here. Now, I don't have enough details about this area to know if everyone who lives in this area is part of it, or if there's just one area that people live there. I don't think this road carries through. Hard to tell. Let's just go ahead and start from here. But yeah, it could just be one building it depends on exactly what it is, the data that the data set they're uploading. So let's just zoom in as much as we can, start drawing buildings. So here I'll use the area tool and then just click each one of the corners, escape, right click on the building, and then I strongly recommend, if the building itself is square or rectangular, use this square tool. And then I'll look up the tag as a building. You might want to call these houses. Here there's some kind of fence or wall, so I'll highlight that. I have to decide if it's a fence or a wall when I do the tagging. Just visually, you can see the building casts a pretty high shadow, and the fence does not. So I'm going to call this and this a fence. This building here. I've noticed I can map a little bit faster when I'm not live streaming, in terms of if you start doing like a dozen of these houses in a row, then you can more quickly snap through adding them. Let me change the background and see if I get any more detailed views. Is it even the same house? I think the Maxar image is more recent, even though it's not as defined. Let me see if there's any other options. Not as good. Very old. So here you can see whenever the Mapbox imagery is from, a lot of these houses hadn't been built at all. Most of that was there during Bing, but then I found, yeah, like this red area here is indication that they've built something new since then. Let me go ahead and complete this road as well. These are some larger buildings. Could potentially be a school, but I don't have detailed information about what is going on there. I think these are connected. I usually click on the roof for buildings that we're seeing at a bit of an angle. Now, that's a little bit of a weird decision because the roads are on the ground, so those are based on where the ground is. But I'm not going to be able to see the entire ground footprint of a building if we're seeing it at an angle, whereas I know in most cases, I'm going to see the entire roof footprint and know the shape of the building from that. Obviously, this would be different if you're looking at, say, the Empire State Building or something where the roof footprint is going to be like in different stages or a different shape from the ground footprint. Because I'm, I guess, intending to trace as many of these as possible, I don't feel any pressure to do them in any kind of like sequential order. It's more like as I go along and see buildings that are more distinct from the area around it. This doesn't look very good. Yeah, let me do this one and then see if the Bing Maps gives us any hints of what was going on with that building. I just don't even see anything there. Yeah, there's some significant changes even to this building marked by the IDP camp marker as well. It's not just it's not just moving. It's a completely different building. Yeah, tough to tell what's going on. Now, this is an interesting case where I think there's some kind of, like, you can see some kind of tire tracks that people use this as a go-to place, but it's also very different from the roads that make up the rest of the building or the rest of the community. So I'm going to mark it as minor unclassified road. And these, even though they're dirt roads, they're clearly much more intentional and organized. So I'm going to put them as residential road. We check again what they tagged this second point as. I don't think they have anything on it, it's just a point. Someone might go through and delete those in the future. I'm not going to because I know they're there for someone's research or continuing project. But if they don't say exactly what they're for and they just have, you know, UN contact information on them, then someone might just at some point be deleting them in the future. You know, I see here the buildings have more definition. I feel like it's easier to start tracing something. Yeah, so since this isn't a rectangle, but it has right angles, it's helped me kind of tidy up that display. Let me see if this track goes anywhere. Not really. And the rest of this area, based on how it's divided into blocks, could be some kind of farmland. I'm tempted to draw it in as farmland, but also don't want to make any huge assumptions. Let's continue this road. Let's quickly jump back into Bing. I wanted to see if I was confident that this road continued the way I thought it did. Yeah, it's gotta be. And if this is the same building, I'll trace it from Bing. Oh, there's been a couple changes, right? That larger red building. So let's trace what's actually here now. Again, I'm following the roof because that's what I can have the most visual on. I don't see these connecting, so I'll leave them as separate buildings. And then I'll connect this one since I can see, now that I'm more zoomed in, I can see a better idea of this connecting. All right, so I definitely want to come back to this and continue editing, but just for now, I'll do save.